Okay, I'm going to redo this, and how I'm going to redo this is I'm just going to put in a little bit of stuff here. Actually, I'm going to highlight it all, and I'm just going to increase the font size because it's way too small. Now, this might be way too huge for you, and that's fine. So I want you to first look at the top here. So I'm just clicking with my mouse, and so one thing we got to get you is a mouse. You got to learn how to use a mouse. So when I click on the top, you can see the entire column. So the column is up and down is highlighted. And the columns are distinguished by letters A, B, C, D, E. And guess what? It keeps going after Z. It just starts reusing the letters on the right. It starts going after Z. You'll see. Well, it won't show you yet. It uses A, A, B, B sort of thing. Then you'll notice the rows. These are rows, horizontal, as I click on the numbers. And you'll see numbers. So the numbers represent the rows and the letters represent the columns. Now let's look at where the column and the numbers and the letters cross. So if I am trying to find C5, there's 5 there. There's C there. And so C5 crosses right here. And you'll notice it also says it right up here, C5. I can even type in the cell I want to move to up here, and it'll move there. But here's C5. And wherever I click, whatever cell, it'll tell me the cell right there. Normally people put the categories along the top here, and sometimes they put a category on the left, and then they put all their data underneath those categories. And they kind of try to keep those categories locked. In this case, we're going to use 4 categories. We're going to use date, and I'm just going to also make everything to start. I'm going to make it all on the left, because that's how it normally starts, is it all the text is aligned on the left instead of the center. That's how it usually starts, like this. So I'm going to do date, and normally the things are small like that. They're much smaller, and I'll get into how to make them wide in a second. And the next category I'm going to do is amount in dollars. And the next category, oh my goodness, my things already overlap. So I'm going to be careful. And the next category, if I click on C, we're going to call C details. Okay, now notice I can't read that. So if you go right here, and you'll see this little double arrow appear, I can hold my left mouse button down and do that, and look at that. This bottom row here got really wide. And then I can do the same here. I can't see my amount money, so I can wait until I see that double arrow, hold my left mouse, and push it to the left like that. And now I've got tons of room. And I can do it with the details. But let's look at another faster way to do that. If I wait until that thing appears, that double arrow, and double click my left mouse button, it widens to the amount of the information. Now, personally, I like it a little wider, so I go a little wider. But here, for instance, notice that the S in details is cut off. So here, I got to go highlight this column and then just wait till the double arrow appears. Ooh, where is it? There it is, and double click my left mouse button. And it widens to whatever I wrote. And I like it a little wider. But also notice like this is kind of crowded that, and that's way to the left. So I can highlight each of these rows. So I can go 1, then I can hold my control button and click on this and keep my control button down and click on that. And now if I go up here, I'll go to Format, Alignment, Center. Format, Alignment, Center. And now all my words are right in the middle, and everything down below will be right in the middle because I highlighted the column. You can undo any action with Control Z. Control Z undoes any action. Control Z. The 3 hotkeys on your keyboard I'd like you to learn are Control C for copy, Control V for paste, and Control Z for undo. I'm going to undo that last action. Notice that they're no longer centered. This time I'm just going to highlight this box alone, and I'm going to go to Format, Alignment, Center. Notice the date got centered. Just alone. Details. If I want everything in this column, I'd click C, but let's say just details, right click. Let's see if there's a center here. Not really. So I will go to Details, Format, Alignment, Center. So you can do them individually is my point here. Alignment, so it's good practice too. But anything I write on the next columns is no longer centered. So that's the benefit of centering the whole column. So I'm going to undo all that again. And since I want to center each of these columns, right, I'm going to highlight this column, hold my control button, left click on this column, keep my control button down, and click on this. CTRL on your keyboard, your control button. And now that they're all highlighted and everything down beneath it, I'm going to go Format, Alignment, Center. Now everything, oh my goodness, my amount isn't good. So I'm going to go there till I see the double arrow, double click. And I like it a little wider. And I like my details a little wider too. And I'm going to add one more thing here. I'm going to call it Category. Oh, I don't have enough room on the edge. So I'm going to double click right there. To hold it manually, what you do is you wait till that appears. You hold your left mouse button. And while you have your left mouse button, you can make that column as wide as you want. And then if you don't like that, Control Z undoes it. Well, let's start by marking down some dates. So let's say you pull up your bank statement and you notice August 1st you spent $22 on, oh, and I also wanted to make sure it doesn't do that yet. Let's see if it'll do nothing. Plain text, we'll call it. $22. Notice no dollar sign. And I also want to get rid of all that too. And I just want to show you how to do that instead. Plain text. So I do August 1st. Notice the year doesn't pop up. 22. Notice there's no dollar sign. Details, I bought a stay. I will say I went to a restaurant. And so we're going to call this category Entertainment. Okay. Notice Entertainment's too wide, so I'm going to double click that. And I like it even a bit wider. Notice that this is not centered, but these are. That's because I didn't have this category before, so I got to go Alignment, Center. Now they're all centered. So that means on August 1st, I had spent 22 details at a restaurant, entertainment. I could even say, okay, I will just Chuck E. Cheese. It's not a good restaurant, but whatever. And then double click. So just to get it as wide as Chuck E. Cheese. But I don't like that. I like to see my date in there. So I'm going to highlight this whole column. I'm going to go up to Data. Let's see if it's Data. Was I looking at our tools? Was it Data? Name, range, data, value, I forget where it is now. Format, is it Format? Oh, there we go. It's under Format. Now, I can skip Format, and I can notice right up here I have the quick. They're called the quick keys. So I'm going to highlight my column, and I'm going to click this. It says More Format, and I'm going to notice down here Date. But I don't like that date. So I'm going to go down here even further. I'm going to say, oh, look, I've got custom date, time, whatever. So I'm going to do date, time. And I don't like that. So I'm going to go again, pull down more formats, and I'm going to go to something I do like. I'm going to say custom date and time over here. And then I have all these choices of different dates and times. Now let's say that's too much detail. Yeah, let's say I do want the day, date, and year in there. Could be I just want the day and the date. And you can even create your own right up there. But let's say I like this one. So I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to say apply. And then, oh, I got too much information. So I'm going to right click this. So there it gives me Monday, August 1st. Now obviously you don't have to pick that, but I'm going to go with that. Now notice when I punch in August 3rd and just hit tab, tab jumps me to the next cell. It's on your keyboard. I've got the next one. I want it wide enough. But then I decide, you know, that one Monday, Wednesday isn't that useful. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to go up here again. I'm going to go to custom date. Custom date. And this time I'm just going to click the date and the year. I don't like AUG. Yeah, I do like AUG. Let's just go with AUG. And then hit apply. And then suddenly it converts it to something simpler, and I can even make it a little smaller. Bringing this a little bit back. And let's say on August 3rd I spent $30 on a mop. And I'm going to call that category operational. Now, the reason you have categories versus details is details reminds you where you went and spent it, just in case something appears on your bank statement that you didn't spend on. And category allows you to group things to measure where you're spending things. So you want to group things on necessary things like rent, gas, or just called transportation. Here's some common categories. Transportation, that would include Uber, bus, and taxi. Rent would be a category all on its own. Sometimes utilities and rent are tied together. I like to call utilities operational, but let's keep utilities as separate. And then we're going to have something. I've made the font here bigger for the video. And then we're going to have other things called food, and I'm going to distinguish that from restaurant. I'm going to call it restaurant entertainment, so that I get a good idea of where I'm spending on my food, which is necessary, and entertainment, which is what I call luxury items. And then finally, I might have a category called operational. This would be things like I have to buy, like pots, pans, forks, knives, things that I need, tools that I need that I can't get by. It can be rakes for lawns, it could be anything, but you can break down this category more. Now you can choose your own categories, but you don't want to make them so wide that they're meaningless. And so, like, I don't want to have a category called Chuck E. Cheese unless I'm going to Chuck E. Cheese a lot, and I have a problem. But we'll see why in a second. I also want to make this column over here as wide as the things down below, so I double click, and suddenly this column's as wide as them. And then I'm going to continue, and then I notice, oh, I don't have dollar signs in my amount, so I'm going to highlight the entire column by clicking, and I notice a nice little dollar sign over here. And boom, it's formatted as currency, which means somewhere up here, probably in format, we can see, yeah, numbers. I can format it as a percentage, accounting, finance, currency. Accounting slightly different. They put the dollar sign way to the left. But it's clear that format under number, I can go to currency, and I get the dollars. Over here, if I'd highlighted and gone to format, I would have saw okay, numbers counts as dates, and here's dates, and then I would have found custom dates down there. So it's the same thing as clicking on the other thing. So, but I'll continue. So now I have my nice numbers, and I have my nice details and my nice categories. So I'm going to continue. August, I got to pull up my bank statement. I see on August 7th, I transferred something to myself, and so I don't know what that's called. And just make sure you spell interact. Make sure you spell things the same way each time, otherwise the computer gets fooled. August 9th, I went back to Chuck E. Cheese, and I didn't have a good experience, so I changed over to Pizza Hut, and I spent $40, and I'm going to call that entertainment. Now notice as I start typing, it starts to fill it in for me, and I can just hit Tab, tabs on your keyboard, and it will just fill it in for me. And then on August 11th, I discovered, oh my God, I forgot to pay my utilities bill of $100, and I'm going to call it utilities, and I'm going to put that under utilities because I want to distinguish it from rent. Now you might just put that under rent, and that's fine too. And I'm going to be tempted and just call everything and get rid of my utilities category and just call it rent. Then I'm going to keep going, and you're just going to keep marking down. Sometimes you're not going to know, and that's why it's good to mark it down when you remember buying it. So you got some Starbucks, and Starbucks, I call that entertainment. I know you might call it food, but anything that's not absolutely prepared at home, that's the cheapest way, you should call entertainment. When you're paying someone else to make your food, call it entertainment. When you go to see, so you decide on August 22nd, yeah, you went to a movie. So a movie, it sucked. And then you just go, that's entertainment. You can see where the categories are grouping more, and these are more specific. The specifics are good too, because if I just have interact, I don't know what I spent it on. That's why tracking things when you spend it is really important. The number one tool to making money is not saving money, it's tracking your expenditures, because everybody will spend whatever money they have in the pocket, that's what they'll spend. So you make more money, you don't end up saving it, you just end up spending more. And then on August 4th, 24th, whatever, I have to pay $50 for pots and pans. And I call that operational. And I can see things are going on. Oh, on August 26th, I did a horrible thing. I don't know. I spent on something. I transferred something myself. I don't know what it is. So I can clearly see there's another category, the unknown category. And the more unknowns you have, the worse it is. And you must make sure you spell it the same way here as here. And then finally, nothing happens, and then September 1st, I get my rent. Okay, and I have to pay my $700. Notice it got a little confused there. So let's try September 1st. No. And September with a T first. No, still not good. So that's interesting to me. First. Huh. So I must make sure that I have my thing highlighted like this, and I got to go up to format, and I got to go up to numbers. I'm going to go back to custom date and time, and I'm going to make sure that it's the way I want it. So I'm going to go with, what do I like? That some of it's too much detail. I like that. So I'm going to highlight that and hit click apply. And let's see if September 1st stuck this time. It's very aggravating. It shouldn't do that. So we're going to try it again. We're going to go to format. we're going to also notice it's here as well, right here. And we're going to go to, we're just going to, I don't like that date and time. We'll just try it that way. We'll see if it recognizes September 1st now. It still doesn't. 1st September. That is really aggravating. It should instantly form. That's the whole point. I'm going to go like this again. I'm going to, sorry, I just getting obsessed with this, but just stick with me. We're going to go back to that. Let's see if I can do it after the fact. So if I do that and then change all my thing, I bet you that'll work. Custom date and time, the thing I like, that, apply. Does it do it? That's bizarre to me. I've never seen anything do that. I wonder if I can just delete all of that and see what happens then. Okay, September 1st. September 1st. I don't know what's going on there. That should just correct automatically. August, September. Is it because we're not into September yet? Format. So just ignore the problems I'm having with this. This is more me not understanding what's going on. And we'll just go with this, I guess, date. Don't like date and time. Date. And I'll just try 9 first and see if it does it. Yes, for some reason that worked. September 1st. But it won't recognize September 1st. So 901. It won't do that either. What? That's kind of weird. How did you correct it the first time? 9-1. Why did it correct the first time? That's just weird, though. Oh, that's bizarre. Why did it do that? So one thing I should have done is had a clean sheet. So what I'm going to do is grab this, and I'm just going to say new spreadsheet. And I'm just going to do it again over here on a clean spreadsheet because I think what's going on and knows my columns are all out of whack. So I'm going to highlight them all. And you can highlight them all and double click and it'll make them wide for all of them. And let's see if it corrected that. Nope. And I'm also going to make my format is the same for all of them. I'm going to make the whole page 18 so that we can all see it. And 9-1. See if it corrects it there. It did not. So we're going to get to that. So we'll just go to September 1st. I should have done that before. But anyway, September 1st is fine. So we're going to do rent was 700. We're just going to call it rent. Notice it didn't have my other stuff here because I not copied it over. And it doesn't center things here or here because I failed to center the whole column because I've tried a new page. So just ignore that. That's just a minor issue with copying and pasting. So now I have my categories and I want to add them up. Now this is the advanced thing. This is the thing I want you to do. And we're going to fix that somehow. I'll do a bit more research on what's going on there, but it should have defaulted to the other dates. For some reason it's not recognizing 9-1 and it should. And I'm obsessed with it, as you can see. So we can go there and we can just go date. Yeah, it fixed it after that, which is weird. Let's see. 9-2. Yeah, it fixes it after that. So just had to have it in there. So I have all my categories now. This part's not necessary. This is what's called a formula. So I'll give you a formula here. So if I go here, down below all this, and I just want to add all these up, I can just say equals sum, open brackets, from B2 to B11. So I go B2 colon B11, close brackets. Notice it highlights what I'm adding up. Hit enter, and it adds all that up. So that's 1057. Let's look at another way to do it. If I hit equals, it kind of knows right away that's probably the column I want to do. So I can just hit tab, and it will add it for me automatically. Notice it won't add here because there's nothing, you can't sum words. So a sum just means add up. But here you can. So I hit equals, and it kind of knows I want to sum that, right? But you can also sum certain items. So I can do sum, open brackets, and let's say I just want to sum the last 4. I can left click it and drag down while I hold left, and then just hit enter. And it'll sum the last 4. Let's say I just want to sum this box, hold control, this box, hold control this box. I left clicked each time. Then hit enter. It'll, oh, it says air, so I guess I got to put close brackets. Oh, I didn't hit sum, so I got to equal sum. And there, it'll sum those. So that's your sum. But over here, you can do a little interesting thing. You can say equals sum ifs, okay? Open brackets. What am I looking at? Well, I'm going to look at my dates. What column is my date in? A. What's my first date? Row 2, so A2. So sum ifs, open brackets, A2 to A1000, which just means sum everything in that column. So I didn't get the 2 right. A2 to A1000. Notice it highlights the column. Then I'm going to hit comma, and then it's going to say what am I comparing with? Actually, I got the dates wrong. I'm going to say sum ifs, and I'm going to try to sum. What am I going to try to sum? Money. What column is money in? B. Where's the first money? B2. Open colon to B1000. It's okay if you don't get this yet. I'm going to sum all the money, but I'm not just going to sum all the money, comma. I'm going to sum it based on my category. What column is my category in? D. What's my first section in there? 2. So comma, D2 to D colon D1000. Like that. So I'm going to say if in that category it says a specific thing, I'm going to sum it. So then you hit comma and you hit quotes. So let's say, since we're looking at transportation here, and notice I don't have a transportation in my thing. Make sure you spell it correctly. Transportation, close quotes, close brackets. So now it's going to sum up any money in if it sees the category transportation. But notice I don't have a transportation. And it says 0. Also notice I want this to be money, so I'm going to highlight it and hit the dollar symbol. $0. I want you to notice something here. I'm going to add an extra column, 9, 2. I'm just going to hit tab. I'm going to say $50 taxi, and I call that transportation. And watch what happens to my transportation sum on the right. Oh, I didn't spell it right. Watch what happens when I spell it right over here. It adds up the $50 right up there. This is very handy because now I don't have to add things individually. It's going to do it for me every time it sees transportation, but obviously I have to spell it correctly. But you also notice, oh, this spelling trick is annoying. And I have the word transportation in this box, this cell right to the left. What is this cell just to the left? G2. So right here at G2, I have transportation. Why do I have to type it? I'm just going to hit sum B2 to B1000, comma, D2 to D1000, comma, and I'm just going to tell it to look over on the left at G2. Just, if whatever says on the left here, it says transportation. Sum it. Look at that. Now look at this. It says autofill, suggested autofill. Yeah, we could just click it because it knows what I'm going to do. But I don't want to do that because I want to teach you how to do it. Notice there's 0 food because we didn't have food in there. We didn't buy any groceries. Let's buy some groceries. On 9/3, we bought $100 worth of groceries. And because that's necessary, we'll call it food. And then later on 9/5, we forgot some peaches. And they were really expensive. Peaches. And it's food. So there we go. Now, I want to show you something. I have 2 things. I have the formula already done. I can either highlight the formula by hitting Control-All. Control-A says grab all of it. Control-C says copy it. Then I can click down here and I can hit Control-V for paste. But the problem with this is it's looking at G2 down here, which says transportation. I want it to look down at rent. So rent here is G3. Now it's going to sum all the rent. Also notice it didn't get all my formatting correctly because I didn't do the whole page and make the whole page Arial. 18. Make it all 14 and then I'll make it 18. That should do it. Boom, it's got the right money. Also notice this column's not centered, so I'm going to do that and do alignment and centered. Notice I could hit Control-Shift-E for centering. So let's try that instead. Control, hold Shift, press E. Look at that, it all got centered. We're learning new tricks. Now, here's an even better way though. See how this box is here? If I drag this down, it's going to copy the formula to the next level down, but even better, it's going to adjust G4. It's going to adjust the word to the left, which means essentially I can just drag the whole thing down and it will adjust to whatever's to the left here. I don't have to type the word food, and if anything, what the beauty of this is I can change this here. Let's say I add a category. let's say up here in interact, yeah, let's pretend I forgot my interact, right? And I go, oh, I really want to add my interact, so I want to see what interact is totaling. So I put interact, and this thing will look to this word and sum the new word. Very good. I don't like it. I want to go back. Control Z, Control Z. Got it all back. So I don't expect you to have that memorized, but you can play it back and we can go over it. But this skill set that I've just done cannot be done by 99% of the people. It's a very useful skill to be able to push. And Excel sheet and Google sheet, pretty much the same thing. Valuable skill set. Yes, I screw up a little bit with the date because I'm used to Excel sheet, but they're pretty much transferable. The formulas are just definitely transformable. Also notice you can see the formula up here. There's all sorts of extra stuff going on that we can do. The better you get Excel sheets, the more employable you are anywhere in North America.